welcome to this week's edition of Hit Subscribe's Facebook Live, where we're going to talk about what clients can expect from working with us. I'm Amanda. This is Eric. I'm going to be asking Eric questions because he talks to the clients for the most part. Actually, I want to know. I want to know how you're going to articulate some of the stuff that we have on here. So, what are some of the different goals and KPIs, key performance indicators, that our clients are looking for when they come to us?
Goals that they're looking for?
Goals they're looking to achieve.
Got it.
You're the articulator, not me. I can has English major.
Invariably, like if you zoom out far enough, all clients have the same goal in engaging Hit Subscribe and in doing content marketing, which is they're coming to us looking to get their product or offering or what have you in front of more people. They want more qualified leads. So in terms of the specifics, that can get a little more granular. I'm trying to think of the easiest way to describe this if you don't have an extensive background in marketing or anything like that. The goals, breaking down from getting eyeballs on more people, you'll have kind of sub goals there, like different means or measures of those people. So what I was saying about qualified leads, the idea is you want to get in front of more people, and then you want more of those people that you're in front of to become customers. And those are two subtly different things. So we do get clients that come to us and say, we just don't have much reach. Can you help us get a lot more eyeballs on what we're doing, and we'll figure out the rest later. So they might be measuring the success of that goal in terms of like visitors to their website. They might be syndicating or putting content out in places like social media, publications, etc. And then they'd be measuring, how many eyeballs are they getting in those places, if that data is available to them. So it's a pretty common goal to just be measuring how many people are reading the pieces of content that you're putting out. Other clients, maybe who have already built kind of a decent sized following or who are getting a lot of traffic to their website, might then start to measure, okay, we're getting plenty of traffic, so how much of that traffic is actually converting or doing something interesting? And what I mean by something interesting is, I say that because it could vary. So if you are a client that has a pretty low-priced offering, then all you might look to do is get people who are landing on your page to take the step of buying something from you. Like, for instance, consider if you were like a barbershop, and you had a website, that's a pretty low commitment, low money purchase. So if you had a barbershop website, when people landed on your site, your goal would be to get them to book an appointment and give you $15 or whatever. What do haircuts cost?
Not $15.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know about basic things in life sometimes. So the goal there, is, I guess, more easily achieved, bringing in those customers. But if your client, like some of ours, is selling software that sells for 4 to 6 figures, they're going to have kind of a different set of goals, because nobody's going to wander by your website and spend $400,000. That's not the way that purchase happens. So their KPIs, their goal might be that you want people to stop by, read the site a few times, like what you're doing, and then make a sales call or schedule a sales call or seek more information. So that's kind of at a more granular level, the types of goals our customers come to us with, and they'll have different, how do I put this, levels. They'll have different levels of ability to articulate that.
Yeah.
So some of them will come and they'll know this stuff, and they'll say, we're looking, to improve our conversions. We want to speak to these types of people, and we want to convert to this landing page. So you get some really marketing savvy customers, and then other customers, especially like startups, in the initial stage where it might be like a couple of technical co-founders, they just know we want to get in front of more people. We want to reach this audience. So it really kind of varies in terms of how they articulate these goals. So working with Hit Subscribe, there's kind of a period of discovery where we're going to work out like what specifically are we trying to do, and as we engage, how are we going to measure whether that's succeeding, and how to tune our strategy. So I think that answers the question.
Yeah. If a client came to us as Hit Subscribe and said,
mm,
my
mm,
goal is to make more money. That's what I want to do. I want to make money. What would be like your steps to lead them to making kind of like a roadmap towards that? Like, what things would you start to ask them,
mm.
and what things would you look up on their site in order to best understand how Hit Subscribe could help them make more money?
The first thing I would do is show them the cleaning products that I had available that they could start selling.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry. So if a client came to us and said, like, help us make more money, it's interesting. I don't think a client has ever specifically said that.
Interesting.
But if a client came and said, make more money, the path to that is Hit Subscribe. If you think of like a business's profitability, it's top line revenue minus expenses. And what Hit Subscribe is doing, what content marketing is doing, is helping with the top line revenue, like increase revenue. That's what it traces back to. So getting more people to your site, assuming that you've set things up where there's a buy button and some of the people who wind up on your site do buy from you, then more people to the site means more buyers. So the way that we're helping our clients make more money is that we're widening their potential pool of people that might buy from them, I guess is the way I would summarize it most broadly. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, pretty much.
Also cleaning products, but
Yeah,
I
well,
stand
I mean,
by that.
like you want the people to sell, not just to buy the cleaning products, but to sell the cleaning products.
Is anybody out there interested in a super
ready?
business opportunity?
Who's ready to sell some jeggings?
Um,
So can you talk about some examples of maybe a client who knew exactly what they wanted and how we're helping them, and maybe a client that didn't know exactly what they want and how we're helping them? Anonymized, of course.
Usually, let me start with the client who maybe doesn't know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
We'll often get clients, because blogging and having a website are institutionalized enough in society that everybody knows those are things that you probably want to do because marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you even like your neighborhood, ice cream parlor, if you went to them and said, you should really have a website, their response would probably be, oh yeah, I know. Even if they don't really know why, it's just sort of canon. So the client that doesn't know exactly what they want usually comes to us in the form of somebody who says, can you help us blog? Because we know that we should blog. And usually it's kind of a process of more and more when we're planning out the content together. I'll press on and say, what is the goal with this blog post? Like, who's going to read it and what do you hope that they're going to do? And that sort of teases out a discussion where the client might then say, like, I don't know exactly. That's a good question. What do we want them to do? And that'll start a discussion like, well, okay, how much does your product cost? Because we could maybe put a link in where, hey, if you like this post, click on this page and check this out. And if your product is reasonably priced for this to work, maybe that'll work. But if it's one of these 4, 5, 6-figure products, that probably don't work. So what is it we want them to do? How do we gain their trust? What do we provide them value with? So that's, I guess, an example of working. It's not like one example, but that's a common way when a client isn't sure about their goals that we kind of suss that out. The case where a client has already known their goals, usually, I'm trying to think, this has happened like just this week where a client is, I think the most common way that happens is when you have a marketing savvy person working for the client and they know that they want to get software developers or DevOps engineers, the people that we're catering to, they know they want to get the attention of those people and they know how to do it, which is that you have engineers write the sort of content that other engineers like to read, but what they don't have is any engineers at their disposal to write that content.
Yeah.
Or maybe what they don't have is deep knowledge of what those people would Google.
Right.
And so there they come to us and say, I know that I want to get these folks on our site. I know I want to get them reading, but I don't really know how, and I can't really do the content.
Yeah.
That's probably the most common way that happens.
Yeah, that's another way that I think Hit Subscribe helps, that is maybe a little bit undercover, is that you're going to get tech savvy people, optimizing for what tech people are Googling for. And if your background is marketing, chances are pretty low you're not going to know the exact terminology and know the exact terms, know what are synonyms, that sort of thing for the sort of things that your audience is looking for when they go to the internet. Well, okay. So let's talk about the results we're seeing. Visit hitsubscribe.com, our results, to see graphs.
So what are you asking me?
From our clients working with us, what are their results? Do we have examples that are anonymized but specific that we can share?
I don't know how to share them exactly, like visibly through this medium. I mean, you could
Here's
actually.
what the graph looks like.
We do have a results page on our website, but the most common thing that we see especially when we're handling the planning for clients, is there's this hockey stick shaped graph of the traffic that goes to their website. So if we engage and write for a client for probably on average 6 months, you start to see a nice uptick in the amount of traffic coming in through Google. And then after as much as 2 years, that skyrockets. And so we have, I think, at least 2 or 3 customers where we've been measuring this, and their traffic is
Like
10 times what it was when we started, for instance.
literally 10 times?
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I can think of one where it went from a little under 500 a month to now it's more than 6,000, I think.
That's excellent. What about, good job. What about, let's see how I can, we have a client that is satisfied with the number of visitors, but not with the number of downloads. How are we creating the results, like the kind of conversions from the traffic?
We have a client who is,
Oh man.
I'm not following.
Sorry.
Okay. So in a case where a client has, say, a lot of traffic coming in, and what you typically do when you're trying to get ranking in Google, you're trying to establish trust with the search engine, is you de-emphasize the sort of salesy things that you'll see on websites. So you go to some websites and you'll see information like a helpful blog post, and then maybe near the top or near the bottom or both, it's like, hey, click here to sign up for whatever. In the beginning, if you do that, like if you establish a brand new site and you put a lot of that stuff in, the search engine doesn't like that because searchers usually don't like that. So what we do initially is we'll build an engine to generate a lot of traffic. And then once that traffic is coming in and the search engine trusts you, then you start to introduce these things to say, hey, go here, buy this, download this, etc. And so once that traffic's built, some of the things that we'll do with clients are work with them to sort of discover which things convert to landing pages or trials or downloads, like, you know, what text or what button you put in there, which one works the best. We'll do some experiments, move those around, and then we're measuring, you know, how many people click through depending on where this thing is. So that's the idea of increasing conversion. You get people to the site, you help them, you kind of build your reputation as a site, and then once you've done that for a while, you can start to say, hey, you know, as long as you're here, we do offer a related product.
Okay, so I guess that makes sense. So what we're offering this client in particular is, so I'm getting visitors, but what can I do to make them buy more of our product? And you're saying that like Hit Subscribe can kind of like provide this look into things, and help them experiment in a way that's productive.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of. Okay. All the way? Not sort of? Definitely?
No, we're good there.
All right. Well, how do we measure, like when a client comes to us with a KPI? How do we measure it? How do we prove we're getting the results that they're asking for?
In some cases, it's hard because if you just say like, bring us more business, it gets really difficult to measure that. And the reason for that is, if you think about like how unhappy it probably makes you if Google and Facebook and all these entities are studying your behavior across the different websites you visit. Those type of things tend to be like a marketer's good friend, because what a marketer wants to do is this: they want you to land on a blog or something, read that page, and then they want to know: do you go off and later come back? Do you go and think about it and then Google the site and come back,
Yeah.
etc.? It's really hard to track that, although there are no shortage of stocky technologies trying to track that.
Yeah.
But like, that's one of the frustrating things for a marketer is any traffic to your site might look to you like it's coming through a search where they don't know you, but there is the ability, I guess, to track new or returning visitors, but it's pretty imprecise. And the reason I'm mentioning all of this is because you have to kind of pick these approximate metrics unless you have a super sophisticated, super stocky marketing automation apparatus.
Yeah.
Like what we're doing, for instance, is we're measuring in the beginning. We'll probably, for a new site, start to measure kind of how long it takes them to rank on Google. And if they have articles that are getting onto the front page of Google, that's one of the first KPIs we measure for a new site. Once that starts to happen, we're going to start to use Google Analytics to measure raw visits to the site. Now, as the raw visit starts going up and you have thousands or tens of thousands of visitors per month, that's where you start to measure things like, how many of the people that are visiting the site go on to look at your landing page or sign up for your mailing list or to do trials. So there's a whole host of things in there that you can measure. You can measure multiple ones of those. And we can help to a degree clients set these up. Like I know how to set up Google Analytics. I could show them how to do that. We can certainly, anybody can measure if a given blog post is ranking in Google. We know that. We help make that easier for clients. We don't really get into the business of actually setting things up on their site because content is our business, not technical marketing automation.
We will not set up a heat map of your site.
So I guess
Sorry.
in terms of like how we help with the measurement, we basically give you ideas for what you should measure and then show you how to measure it, but we don't actively do it for you. And well, I guess we do in some cases because we have SEO tool Ahrefs, and so sometimes there we're measuring things through the tool and reporting those to clients. But anything that involves setup on a client site, we don't do that.
Right. But there are tools that do that. It's super expensive though. It's really expensive to try to automate this kind of stuff.
Yeah, Google Analytics is free, but if you start using like marketing automation tools like HubSpot, you can spend thousands and thousands a month on that.
There's no end to the amount of money that you could spend trying to track your user journeys through your website. Well, would you like to close with a sales pitch as to why a company should work with Hit Subscribe? I guess this whole thing was kind of this is why you should work with Hit Subscribe. Would you like to?
I want to close with a sales pitch.
Is it?
I'm salesed out this week. We've had a lot of sales calls lately.
Well, I can handle the sales pitch. Would you like to know about the healing power of essential oils? That was a reference to an earlier joke.
I guess why work with Hit Subscribe? If you're in the right niche, the thing I think that we do for our clients, there's a lot of knowledge. So a lot of our clients value our knowledge of topics and how to bring in and find engineers that are interested. So there's certainly that, but like really kind of what it comes down to is there's already smart marketing folks working in a lot of our clients. There's knowledge there. It's just that they don't really have the time and ability to spend a lot of time road mapping blog posts, creating blog posts, revising them, etc. So we're kind of augmenting and providing valuable knowledge and feedback, but more importantly, we're putting something on autopilot so that they can focus on other things. Like we're making one thing about their otherwise busy lives a little bit easier, and I think that's probably
I really like that.
The most value for a lot of our clients and what we're doing.
Yeah, something that I think is really interesting is that I feel like we've had equal really good success and good feelings and the feeling like both of us are really appreciating each other with clients that have great marketing people that know exactly what they want and people who don't know what they want. They're maybe just technical co-founders, small companies that can't invest in an actual marketing person or a marketing team, versus big companies that have a person dedicated to the blog. both of these types of companies, I see we have a history of having really great relationships with. So, surprising, cool, good stuff. Well, that's probably it for this week. Tune in next week. I'm not going to make another Amway joke, but like I want to. Tune in next week. We'll have more jokes. Bye.